You know what's kind of funny? We talked about doing this podcast today. We're doing, this is going to be on the black-eyed kids, the black-eyed children. And this morning, it must have been like, I don't know, maybe like 10 a.m. I was kind of hanging out here at home. It's just me and the animals. And somebody rings my doorbell. And I don't know about y'all. I normally don't have people come to my door. So I'm like, who the hell is this? And so, I'm taking my time coming down. And then they do like an impatient knock after that. And then ring the doorbell again. And so I'm just thinking to myself, like, who the hell is this? It's probably like a friend or something. And I go, and it's this little kid, just like with a rake, just standing outside my door.
Are you being serious?
I'm not even kidding. And I'm like, I'm just like, what's
Okay.
up?
Do you want to rake your
Yeah,
yard?
yeah. He's like, I was wondering if I could rake your leaves, um, for money from my mom. And I was like, and so everything was running through my head. I was like, well, let me see if I have any money, because
Yo,
first I want to see if I had cash.
you need to tell those fools to bug off because they could have been a black-eyed kid, bro.
Could have been a
Dude,
black.
that's what I thought. Because so it's this little kid, and then I'm reading this, and I'll read this in a sec. So I run up, pretend to look for cash. I honestly didn't have any cash on me, so I go out and I'm like, hey man,
Jesus,
sorry, I
you
don't
didn't
have any
give the
money.
kid anything, Gene?
I didn't have any money. I didn't have the cash, unless he had like a swipe or Venmo.
He probably had Cash App.
He probably had cash out. That's true. Um, but either way, so we walked. It was just weird. I don't know. It was just odd to me. I'm like, what the hell? And then later on, I saw him kind of cruising around the neighborhood.
Try
But I
it.
just immediately thought of these black-eyed kids because let's see the description of them. It says while the details of individual black-eyed children encounters vary, there are some general commonalities. Let's see, appear to be between 8 years old and late teens. Wear clothes that are outdated or wrong for the season.
Hmm.
Speak oddly as if it isn't their native language. And then very demanding or pushy. And then request entry into a home, car, or life in some way. I don't know, it was just weird. And then appear and disappear without any explanation. I was
Gene,
like, it just like took off.
do they have to have permission? So if they request, do they
They'll
have
ask,
to
yeah.
have, but do they have to have permission?
Yeah, you have to give them permission. So you either have
Like
to
a
allow them in
manual?
your house or whatever. And some people have. And a lot of times when they do, they'll get this like sudden, overwhelming feeling of like fear and
Something's not right.
yeah, something's not right. And a lot of times they'll either tell them to leave or, I mean, there's some crazy encounters of other things happening. Or if they do leave, like bad luck will kind of follow them.
But what's their point? Like, what's the point of what are they doing it for? What's the
Uh,
origin?
so I did pull that up. There's a few different theories. They're either demons, alien hybrids, or something else. So, and this is from pararational.com. Um, Demons, because they seem to need permission to gain entry into our lives in some way. One theory is that these are demonic entities.
Yeah.
The act of asking to be led into a house or car is very reminiscent of needing to invite a vampire into your home before it can enter. Perhaps in some way, these creatures need to gain some sort of entry into our energy before they can do whatever they need to. In any case, encounters with black eyed kids or BEKs always has negative consequences of some sort. Sickness, accidents, and so on are common after even brushes with them. Um,
It
and
does
that's
sound
just
a little more demonic.
Yeah, it does sound demonic, but then so here's the other one though, the alien hybrid theory, which I can kind of see this one, and I'll go into the story afterward. But what this says is possibly because black-eyed kids have solid black eyes, and because gray aliens are reported to have solid black eyes, some people think that BEKs might be some sort of alien-human hybrid. This could account for their psychic abilities, difficulty with our speech, and of course their eyes. It doesn't explain their motive, though. What would they gain by causing harm to humans' lives? Another tie to the alien and UFO phenomenon is that out of place clothing. Unusual speech patterns and ability to be places they shouldn't be and then disappear quickly echoes much of what we hear of Men in Black, which are thought to be possibly alien operatives of some sort. I don't know if you've heard about like the Men in Black theories. at all.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because everything about what you just said, where it makes sense that they would be an alien, also makes sense that they would be a demon, not from this realm.
Yeah.
But then the demons have the motive. So it's like that's where demons are still beating it out for me. They're to me it seems more demonic than it does alien, unless I knew a motive.
Yeah. I honestly don't know. I mean, I have no clue like what motive an alien would have to disguise itself to come into your home.
How old is this story? Like how long has this gone back?
Let me see. I'll have to look this one up. Oh, so at the end of this, what I was talking about with the alien one is supporting this in the case. There is a case where the couple lets the kids in, and this is that old couple I was talking about. The parents that they called to pick them up were a couple of men in suits, and they were tall, lanky men. And so this is the story: is the men looked like they were wearing black-colored suits and were very tall, at least 6 feet. When my husband waved at them, they just stared at us, got into the car, and drove off. So yeah.
Wow.
The first actual encounter, though, if that's what you're wondering, or I guess the first encounter on record, because apparently the black-eyed kids have been, I guess stories and stuff like that has been going on for like hundreds of years. But Brian Bethel is probably the most popular one, and that's actually like right in Abilene, not too far, like here in Texas. And I'm gonna read this. Let's see. In
Was this
Bethel's
one where he's at the gas station?
yeah, movie theater parking lot. In Bethel's report, he described. So this happened. Just so everybody knows, this happened in Abilene in 1996. So this is like the first actual recorded instance of it. And since this, no, it's not that long ago. I mean, it's fairly recent. But from what it says, tabloid coverage claims that the black-eyed children have existed since the 80s. But the legend really came to light when a Texas journalist by the name of Brian Bethel reported his encounters with the alleged black-eyed children in Abilene, Texas in 1996. In Bethel's report, he describes a late evening out in his vehicle. He had stopped in a parking lot near a movie theater to write a check. He was so absorbed in this that he didn't notice 2 young boys approach his car. He didn't notice until the older boy tapped the driver's side window. Bethel rolled down his window and noted immediately a soul-racking fear, though he couldn't understand why. The older boy said that he and his brother wanted to catch a movie but had forgotten their money at home. They had asked if Bethel could give him a ride. They assured him that it wouldn't take long, they were just 2 kids, and that they didn't have a gun. Hey, it's cool, man. We have no weapons, we're just a couple kids, we're not going to do anything wrong. Bethel found the assurances unnerving and noted that the last showing of the film they wanted to see had already started and would be nearly over by the time he could drive them anywhere and get back. In his recount of the incident, he stated that when he broke eye contact with them, his fear became all-encompassing, and it wasn't until he broke eye contact with their eyes became completely blacked out. Oh, wait, let me read that over. Sorry. This letter is like super small. In his recount of the incident, he stated that when he broke eye contact with them, his fear became all-encompassing, and it wasn't until he broke eye contact that their eyes became completely blacked out. The older boy began to get frustrated when Bethel made excuses for not giving them a ride and said that they couldn't get into the car unless Bethel said it was okay. After that, Bethel tore out of the parking lot, and to this day he still stands by his story. Since this account, numerous claims of sightings have flooded internet chat rooms and alternative media websites. Yeah.
Yeah, and that what's cool about that story, and I remember that story too, but what's neat about that story, it seems subtle, but it explains the way people just putting like black contacts in their eyes. So when he first saw them, he didn't notice it. Like they had regular eyes. It wasn't until he broke contact and then he looked back that he was able to see that the whole eye was black.
Yeah.
Black-eyed kid. And that's like a subtle way of kind of letting. And he's a writer, so I'm sure he made that a very important part of his story, because that's the first thing someone's going to say is like, some kids got some blacked out contacts and scared you, like that's,
Yeah.
or whatever. Now that kids are doing that today, but if that, there's no way to explain that. If you looked away for a second and looked back and then they had black eyes, again, seems like supernatural. Seems like something that is not of this world. And also, if it's just invoking fear, if there is a spiritualness in us and we recognize that, I mean, it kind of fits with more demonic. And that story that you were talking about with the old lady and the husband that brought him in,
Yeah.
that was, I guess we've talked about it before, because I remember talking about that. That story was one of the creepiest stories
Yeah.
that I read. So these kids knock on the door and they're just very monotone. Like, our parents left us. Can we please come in? Like, it was just very monotone, and they were looking down the whole time. And it was raining, soaking wet. So, of course, this elderly grandma lady's like, get in. Okay, get in. And she was like, as soon as they came in, she just had this very strong sense of something's about to be wrong. Something's about bad to happen. And they wouldn't talk. As soon as they got in, they just stopped talking. Normal questions. Where are your parents? Are you guys cold? Do you want a blanket? Do you want to, take like a hot shower? And then we have some old, our kids' old clothes, and they just sat there on the couch, like not saying a word. And then at some point, like, all the electricity goes out in the house, and you hear like rumbling and moving and going around. And then when the lights come back on, the kids are like just standing there staring at them, and now they see the black eyes. So now they're looking at the two parents, and there's like all this stuff moved around, like moved differently, and they're staring at them, and they're like, our parents are here, and they're okay, and they're just paralyzed with fear. And so they walk to the door, and they see down the driveway like an old Cadillac, and like Gene said, two tall, slender figures, and like they waved at him, and like didn't even wave back, and the kids left without saying a thing. And then, like Gene said, there was a cancer with that elderly guy like a couple months later. That story was creepy. Like, I could see it when I read it, and that just seems more evil to me. I don't know why an alien would be evil.
See, everything that you said about it being demonic and evil makes so much sense, right? I agree. The only thing that's different is how physical and tangible they are, and the fact of someone coming and picking them up. That's what leads it
True.
more mysterious. I'm not going to say alien. It kind of, that's a funny thing to entertain, but just, I don't know, it's so physical. And how many stories of like demonic stuff is that physical presence standing in front of you? You could touch it and feel it. It's just, it feels different. It feels wrong. It feels super creepy, like you said. I remember reading this on like a forum whenever like I was really young, like early 2000s. I remember being like young and on chat rooms and stuff like that, or forums, and hearing about this. And yeah, man, it's super creepy. I don't know what else to say. So that's the only thing that throws me off, the tangibleness of
Yeah, because I mean, normally don't like ghosts and demons and stuff haunt like one specific place. I mean, these guys are just cruising around.
Yeah, and they're kind of
all over the
spirits
place
too, right? Like, demons are
entities, right?
like you said. Yeah, they're not so tangible. I mean, unless there's something, because the intent seems to be to put fear into somebody. And like, if you are an alien that is sophisticated, why do you have a weird rule where you have to be invited in?
That's the thing. That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, and the only thing that I can think of is like when I was going to school, when I was going to college. So there's a lot of ethics that go on with like trials and studies. You can't just do anything you want. Everything has to be, you have to have permission from the participant. Like, there's a lot that goes into getting consent. It's a very high priority. And so maybe it's just like it's ethical, them being ethical in studying like how our adrenaline works when we're scared, or like when we're like in a like maybe they know like black eyes scare us, and like the lights going out, and then all three kids just standing there going, my parents are here. Like they're intentionally scaring us to study. Maybe it's people that they've already implanted and can read like whatever levels and get whatever data from that person.
Yeah.
And then they're doing these things to that person to get a read on like, okay, this is how their adrenaline works. This is how their fight or flight works. This is how their, whatever. And then, but they're also being super ethical by being like asking permission to come in and asking permission.
Yeah.
Right? They're like following the rules.
Well, and I don't think they care that we care. I think maybe like they have their board of ethics that like, well, when you did this study, did you have permission from the human?
Alien law.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Check the boxes.
Right. That could be that.
Well, and
That's a
so
motive.
there are some theories. I don't know if you guys have heard of the like the energy vampire theory, where they could be feeding off of that fear, and so they could be going into these
Yeah.
homes to create this fear and then harness that energy and then take it back.
Interesting. I never
Yeah.
read that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is very vampire-ish.
It is very vampire-ish. I mean, honestly,
The only
like,
thing is, can you see him in a reflection? And what happens if you throw garlic at him? I would
I
want to know.
do
that.
not know. Do you want to test it out?
Yeah.
Invite some in.
Like-
I did find that story about that old couple, and then I got this one from Coast to Coast. This is actually a little bit of a different story. Let's see. A woman claims to have made the mistake of allowing the entities into her home and shared the terrifying result of her misplaced generosity. The encounter happened about a year ago when she suddenly woke up by a loud banging at the door. After waking her husband, the couple answered the door to discover two disheveled children standing in the snow. The woman instinctually felt ill at ease with the children, but, against her better judgment, decided to let them inside the house to get out of the cold. Once they were inside, her husband asked them a series of questions about how the kids happened upon their doorstep, but only received the response, "Our parents will be here soon," in a creepy, sing-song voice. Like your cliche
Right.
kid in a horror movie. Shortly thereafter, the couple were stunned to notice that the kids had solid black eyes, causing them to recoil in horror. The woman's husband began having dizzy spells and then a nosebleed while their normally friendly cats hid from the visitors. And this is one other thing that I read is that animals are super afraid of them. Like they start acting weird and either
Well, they
immediately
can
hide.
detect them,
Yeah, they can detect the evil. The
but
evil.
cats don't bark. So that's like more of a common. What was that movie where there was an alien that was like visiting them all the time, and then they went to go see this specialist, and he was like explaining what was going to happen, that they were going to take one of them. Oh, what is that movie?
Oh, I've never seen that.
Is it called Taken? It might be called Taken.
I think Taken is with
Oh,
Leslie.
yeah, no, yeah, never mind.
that's,
That's,
that's a different one.
I have a very strong set of skills. Yeah, that's I forgot what it's called, but it's a really cool alien movie where they're getting visited. Creepy stuff is happening to them. There's these like little implant marks behind their ears, and then they're like having these weird out of body moments that they can't control because they're being controlled by them. And then this ultimately all leads to one person being like taken. And so they go to see a specialist about like what's going to happen, and it's obviously like this kooky dude that they found online or something like that seems fake. It doesn't seem real. And so he has all these cats in the house, and they're like, well, what's with all the cats? And he's like, yeah, I don't really like cats, but dogs bark too much. And they're like, what? Yeah, animals know. So animals can sense them, and dogs will like bark nonstop.
Yeah.
And they're so loud. Cats will like hiss and go away, and
Yeah,
he's
they
like,
like
it just
crouch
lets me
down.
know when they're it lets me know when they're near. And he was even like, I don't even fight them anymore. I just accept it. I know what's going to happen, and I at least just want to know before it happens. So that's why I have the cats as kind of like an early warning sign.
Wow.
So yeah, cats are like, I guess, little alien detectors.
That's so weird. Well, back to the story. Um, the woman suddenly the power in the house went out, and the couple were gripped by sheer terror, waiting to see what would happen next. One of the children eventually said that their parents had arrived, and the two entities left the house to meet a pair of men waiting at a black car in the driveway. The four strange entities then simply drove away as mysteriously as they had appeared. In the time since the encounter with the black-eyed children. Start over. In the time since the encounter with the black-eyed children, the couple have had their cats disappear or die, and both the women as well as her husband have been plagued by illnesses, including a cancer diagnosis that seemingly has no explanation. I know that all of this is
similar?
because, yeah, it sounds like the same
It
story.
almost sounds like the same story.
Yeah, and
Unless
and
it's just like a move that they do that's like it's like a dance.
it's like
They
their
just put
go-to.
something over, yeah, their go-to move.
It might be. I mean, that's what it seems like. They'll it's just a random person or random set of kids just coming up to your car, or your
Are
place.
there any
Wanna come inside?
like instant kills, head chopped off, murder? Like, is there any of that, or is it just putting a lot of fear in somebody and then bad things happen later?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Well, how would you know if someone was murdered by black-eyed kids? You know what I mean?
True. Unless there was a witness.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
They're all on YouTube.
Or if they
Turds.
took their eyeballs out and left them on the counter. Obnoxious. And wrote black-eyed kids on the wall.
BEK.
BEK. fuck.
It was us. I mean, I've got a few. Let's see. I don't know which of these are gonna be good. Damn, these are kind of long.
Yeah, but are any of them with murder?
Oh, they're so bad. I do these pictures. The pictures are the worst. Like even like just
Oh,
scroll
yeah,
through, just
yeah.
watching. Apparently, this is an actual one, a
So is
real
there
life
any-
example of a black-eyed kid. Oh, what's up?
Is there anything you can do to ward them off, or is there like, or they pick you at random?
I don't know.
Or is
and
there
I don't
something
even know.
you do that draws them in, and also is there something you can do to drive them away?
Just not invite them in, I would think.
Because that's usually where I find my own idea of like, oh, that's what I think this is really about.
Yeah.
But if this is just for no reason, random, it kind of that's a little unique in the
Yeah.
scary, spooky story world.
I have one. Did y'all see that video that I sent y'all a while back of that drone footage?
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one that could explain all of these encounters happening over here. So this is the black-eyed girl of Cannock Chase, and this is in Staffordshire, England. In September 2014, tabloid newspaper The Daily Star ran several full-front page stories of a black-eyed girl who was terrorizing the area of Cannock Chase in Staffordshire, England. Lee Brickley, a paranormal investigator, examined the case. He claimed that a local woman had suddenly heard a terrifying scream, which she believed to be a child in danger. She ran in search of the child, and after initially not seeing anyone, she noticed that a girl dressed in white stood behind her. She stated that the young girl had her hands over her eyes as if she was waiting for a birthday cake and was silent. The woman, who also had her young daughter with her, asked the strange girl if she was okay, which seemed to prompt her to take her hands away from her face and open her eyes. That's when I saw they were completely black. No iris, no white, nothing, the witness told Brickley. I jumped back and grabbed my daughter. When I looked again, the child was gone. It was so strange. Brickley also told the media that his own aunt had witnessed the same girl over 30 years earlier in 1982. He stated that she had heard a young girl calling for help before seeing a girl dressed in white running away from her. Brickley's aunt caught up to her and placed a hand on her shoulder to see if she was okay. When the girl turned around, his aunt could see that her eyes were completely black. The girl then turned and continued to run before disappearing. So the cool thing about this story is if you go to YouTube and search for Black-Eyed Girl Cannock Chase Ghost, there's actual quadricopter like drone footage of this. I mean, if y'all have a chance, check it out.
No, I saw it.
You saw it? Now,
Yeah.
does it look staged? I can't tell if it looks staged or not.
Okay, well, first of all, I'll be honest with you. It looks like someone's running through a field, but you can't tell that she has black eyes.
No, it's just a kid in a white dress. It just is just standing there, creepy as hell.
I understand, but there's no black eye. Like,
Yeah, you can't tell if she has black eyes or not. No, you're too
Right.
far away.
yeah.
Um,
So I don't know the context. I mean,
yeah, let's see. Oh man, where'd it go? I had found this thing where there is basically this bar, like this old pub, and once it got sold, that's when all these crazy things with the black-eyed children started happening, and the pub is in Cannock Chase.
Hmm.
Yeah, the 400-year-old Four Crosses pub in Cannock, Staffordshire, is said to be known for its mysterious happenings, including unexplained footsteps, glasses smashing without warning, and the reported apparition of a young girl. According to website caterer and hotel keeper, the pub was built in 1636 as a coaching inn for shipping timbers, almost 1,000 years old. According to haunted rooms and several secret passages have been discovered within the building during the 20th century. So, from what I read, and this was, I don't know if this was in the early 90s or if this was like late 2000s, that this place was sold. And once it was sold, that's when a lot of these black-eyed kid encounters started happening. And it was sold right around Halloween, which is even creepier.
yeah, that makes it sound more like spirits again, like more demonic.
Yeah.
Like if they were being held within the aliens, wouldn't be held within a domain of
And
like
so-
a bar.
Yeah, so maybe, yeah, this is just a theory, maybe whatever they were or it was contained in this place, and then something happened and now they're out.
Yeah.
And then they just feed off the fear.
But there's no
I don't know.
there's no concrete what
There's
they
no-
are, what they want, and why they do it. There's
No.
nothing concrete on that, right?
No, not that I've been able to
Yeah,
find. I found a
that's
bunch of
like
stories.
I guess it's turned into folklore over time, but pardon me, it was more of people's just random stories of these kids. You know what I mean? And all collectively looking at them as a whole, not knowing if they're actually connected or what. But so
And to me, that makes it a little more scary because when I have a myth or a lore or a scary story, a scary nighttime story that has a what, when, why, how, where, like there's a whole background story and there's a way to keep it away. There's a way to draw it in. Like if you're doing something bad, it draws it in. And if you do something good, it draws it away. Those to me, I'm like, okay, well, I could see the point. I don't think it's real, but I could see the value in society that it would have to have this story or to have this myth or lore that's told generation to generation. But the ones that don't have that are a little more like, okay, well, so it's either made up or it's real, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the only two options we have. It's either real stories or people like one person made it up and then everyone kind of copied them after that. If it's made up, why is it made up? Why would a writer, and from what I understand, the first real one was that writer, that Texas writer. And I don't know if he wrote for like newspapers or if he was freelance with magazines. I don't know what.
He was a journalist, yeah.
So I just don't get why he would, and unless he had a history, I would like to see that guy's history of what he wrote about. If he's like a science fiction writer or like a horror column writer, then I'd be a little bit like, okay, so I mean that would help you in your horror section of writing. But if this guy was just a normal guy, never like his whole career, never had anything like this, and then all of a sudden one day he has a story, and then since he hasn't continued to come up with out of this world stories, that to me is more like there is no why, there is no, and it seems a little more real because like what I think of demonic things would be, there's not a real reason. It's just a general havoc, just a general like just it's a yearning that they have to like mess up a life or ruin a life or take something pure and soil it. Like,
Yeah.
so that kind of makes it seem a little more legit that there isn't this origin background or this Rougarou style. Like, if you do your freaking, what is it, when you do your communion, or not your
Your
communion,
Lent.
but you do your Lent, then he won't get you. But if you don't do your Lent, he's going to come after you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rougarou, by the way.
Shut up.
Shout out to Rougarou.
Rougarou.
Yeah, I mean the alien thing's cool, just 'cause I like aliens, but I see this being more of like a.
I think so.
It seems more demonic than anything. But again, the one thing that throws me off is that they're roaming around, just hanging out.
Yeah. That is,
They're roaming around freely, so it's like where are they going, where are they coming from, and then why are they choosing these people is my big thing. Which I guess, like what you said, is what makes it even more scary. Is that it can just happen randomly. Like there's no
It seems like good.
reason for it. They just show up.
Well, and if they're good people, that is a demon's like favorite. Like from my understanding of demons, that's their favorite target because the more pure, the more like soil they can get them, the bigger victory they have.
You're probably more likely to trick them too because they're that naive to
Well, no,
the
and
evil.
it's a good plan. It's a good plan. If there's a bunch of demons that got together and they were like, "What's the best way we can gain entry?" Like most like adults that are, let's say, not even religious, but just get, like they don't mess with Ouija boards or they don't mess with like they're not going to do anything to accidentally invite someone in. So they're kind of taking like a proactive approach and doing like, okay, well, let's disguise ourselves as children in distress that need somewhere to go or need to come in. And then once we're invited, hey, by the rules that God and devil have, like as long as we're invited in, you know, we can do whatever we want. So that's kind of, it's a good plan if that's what they came up with. 'Cause that'd be hard to turn down. Like if it was raining and storming and some kids rang on my doorbell, I'm probably not gonna like just be like, "Yep, shut for today." Like, shut
Yeah,
the
you're
door.
gonna think about it. You're like you're not a complete asshole.
I'd probably have them come in. If they didn't know their parents' phone number, I'd probably call 911 and just be like, "Hey, there's these random kids in my house. I don't know where their parents are. Someone needs to call CPS or something. I don't know." But I wouldn't leave them out there. Just wait outside. I'll make some calls. Thank you. I probably wouldn't.
Put him in the
Now, if I
garage.
saw the black eyes right away, then yeah. So that's a nifty trick that they got. That the initial thing that you don't see the black eye, you just see like regular, and then when you look away and look back, boom, you see the black eye. But typically, it's too late at that time.
Yeah, and most people probably wouldn't even expect it. I mean, had I not known about the black-eyed kids, I wouldn't have even thought it when that kid was at my door. But because we had done, started reading all this, then that was honestly the first thing I thought. I'm like, what the hell is this kid? Like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Did they know that I was reading this?
the thing that kind of, for me personally, I guess we've kind of said this a little bit already, but it kind of feels more real because the stories aren't that elaborate. Like they're not going in and causing mayhem and they murdered the dog and they crawled on the walls. It's kind of like this ominous little story, and it's kind of they have so much rain to like make up a better story than the stories, and they're honestly not that crazy. And those extra details just make it feel, I don't know. The kids telling the guy that they don't have a gun is kind of just a funny little tidbit that I don't think that goes along even with the demon thing. It kind of feels more real. Like maybe, of course, someone that's lying could do that too, but it just makes the story feel more authentic. That
Yeah.
there's little tidbits and boring kind of stories. So
Oh, you think this is boring?
boring topic, bro.
Well, it not that it's boring, but it doesn't have that. I hate to go back to Rougarou, but he just keeps pulling me back in.
Oh, it doesn't have the sizzle that Rougarou does.
He just keeps pulling me
I'll tell you
back.
what, man. These things look way I think this is more the visual appeal.
Well, of course,
the black-eyed
they're way
kids.
more scary than Rougarou because Rougarou is like you could see through the Rougarou story like glass. Like you can tell exactly the point of the Rougarou. Some
Yeah.
Catholics can do Lent. That's it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. There's nothing. They never got past that level of like, what can we do to get our community to have more lint? Let's make
like-
up a fake monster.
Yeah, he's like the Catholic anti-hero.
Well, but this doesn't have that, and it leaves you with like, okay, so was it for attention that the guy made it up? If he made it, let's say he made it up, it would have to have been for attention because he's not leaving any sort of moral story behind it. So, like, and that's why you don't smoke cigarettes behind the school. Like, it's not one of those myths. So if it was for attention, if the guy's a journalist, that's a lot of attention. I mean, you already have a lot of attention as a journalist.
But the
And
thing
I
is,
don't think
I guess it depends on how big you are, and like they say, any press is good press. Like, you know,
sure.
so there is an incentive for someone to make up a crazy story, and saying he's a journalist doesn't help also because he might. Oh, you're a creative person who's written his whole life.
Right.
You live writing stories or writing.
And then you wrote this really scary story.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but I see both ways. He would also be the best person to have that happen to because he will be so thorough and descriptive about it. So I think it's real.
so yeah. The only thing is, there's so many random encounters. So I was able to find one page with like 16 of them.
But that's not that many, though. I mean, how many encounters are we talking about total?
That are reported. I mean, I have no clue, but there's got to be dozens, I would assume.
That's not a lot, though.
You're right. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of it all. No.
Like almost every middle school kid knew about Bloody Mary, and not that they saw it or did it, but they knew about it, and they had a fake story or they had a real story, whatever.
Mhm.
But Black Eyed Kids, I didn't hear about Black Eyed Kids till like when we first started talking. When I was talking about it with you guys, I never heard of Black Eyed Kids.
We looked in the atchery, yeah.
Wow.
I never heard of Black Eyed Kids.
Early on, but I used to look up a lot of weird stuff whenever when the internet was like first popping off, like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. I remember hearing about Black Eyed Kids, like these stories, and they were those same ones that we're talking about. It wasn't different ones.
That's what I mean. Like, there's not that many accounts, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not getting. I never heard anybody in school talk about it. Like, hey, y'all know about the Black Eyed Kids, right? I mean, I don't remember that. I don't remember anybody telling me about that.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary, Chupacabra, Ends or Ghosts. Like, those were all part of.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
Black Eyed Kids.
And you could say that this could be a tale, and the natural thing would be like, don't let a stranger into your house, like just like the vampire thing, and that's the
Yeah, but
the
these are
moral of the tale.
children are way different. Like that, I don't think the moral of it would be like, don't let children in your house when they're
No, not children, strangers.
But they're children. They're black-eyed kids, not black-eyed adults, right?
I know. I mean, I'm trying to look for a moral. I'm just trying to look for something to like.
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything.
So
moral
like,
about
I'm trying to find a reasoning to make up the story.
I don't think there's any moral
There's
reason
a moral thing to it.
to make it up. Maybe just more like attention.
Attention. But apparently, like, these stories were happening way before this article came out, before Bethel's.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, just like the Bloody Mary thing, I don't know if it's real or not, but I'm not going to test it.
Kind of did today, talking to old Rake Boy, but you,
You opened
Dude, I told that kid no. I said no.
bro, you left him at the door and went and like, hey, let me go check. Like you,
Yeah, I didn't want to be a complete asshole.
So if it's like life and death, that you're gonna be like, hey, I don't want to be rude to him. Like,
Oh, to be rude.
Yeah, so I said, hey, let me go see if and I did legitimately check, because there was a part of me that was like, well, this can't be
That's
real.
how they get you. That's why.
Dude, I know. That's why.
Black-eyed kids, not the
Dude.
black-eyed scary adults.
I
There's a
know,
black-eyed
man.
Kids, man.
Like I said, it was just this innocent kid just trying to rake some leaves.
like
Dude, they're kids, bro.
I'm not even kidding. I swear, it looked like I saw like a kid in your window right now, Gene. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna say.
yeah?
Either.
I'm serious.
I-
dude.
Well, no, because it peeked out the side and then it went back. Like it.
And it
But
did
it's
have
probably-
like a rake in its hand, like, and it just
Yeah.
went.
but it's probably nothing.
Sorry.
It's probably nothing. It's fine. Don't worry,
I would be terrified if his like camera went black right now, just like
I know,
dude.
And then back on, the window is up and Gina's gone, and it's just like the wind blowing out of like in Captain Hook, when the kids, and it's just the wind is when there's a note on the door, like a sound.
Yeah, you believe it now? Jesus.
Good old Captain Hook.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's still
That
scary
was
to
a
see.
scary one because it doesn't leave me with. It doesn't give me any room for logic. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I can't logically think my way through it. Like, well, this matches up with that, and that's probably why. That one just seems either one person started like a really cool story, and then maybe people trended on it. If it's fake, and then if it's real, that's horrifying. I've never seen one. I don't think I don't think I would if I saw kids like crying at my door and being like, "Our parents, we can't find our parent." I don't think I would be like, could be the black-eyed kids. I don't think I believe it that much that I would like act on it. You know what I mean? Which neither would you, Gene, because you obviously didn't.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying I did. Yeah. I mean, it was in the back of my mind, but
that's
It
a
was
big
a part of me.
coincidence, though. Like I would have freaked out
Right.
by the coincidence of it.
yeah, because nobody rings my doorbell or anything like, and then to happen like today of all days in the morning.
And the house was empty at that time.
Yeah, it was just me and the animals, and
Did he ask to come in?
no, he just asked to rake the yard.
Did he say how much money he wanted, or
Nope.
he just said for some money?
No, yeah, he's like, I'm just trying to get money from my mom,
Was there
Kind of a-
6 foot?
money to help my mom.
Was there a 6-foot guy in a suit standing by a car by the wheel?
No, but when I opened the door, a car drove away, and then the kid was just standing there, and I was like, it was like the timing. I was like,
The drop off.
yeah. I was like, what the hell? And yeah, I had no clue. So, and yeah, I didn't have a lot of leaves either, so there was like nothing for him to do. So, just trying to defend myself from being an asshole.
What would you have done?
What? What do you mean?
Like, okay, so I'm gonna give you the scenario, and then you take it from me and tell me what you would do.
Okay.
Open the door. Doorbell rings. You open the door. The kid's like, "Can I rake for some money because of my mom?" And you're like, and you turn around and like, "Oh, let me check to see." And when you turn back, solid black eyes. Now you tell me what happens.
I closed the damn door, lock that shit.
Bro,
And then what? And then what? And then what? Then what? Then what do you do? Do you call 911?
Oh, I panic. I have no clue. I mean, who do you call?
okay,
Do you
but
call
I think I look out the peephole, and then
Bro,
go to my phone.
yeah,
911?
right
The eye
there.
with his knife? You're dead.
Do
If
you think do you think a knife can go through the peephole?
No, I don't know about that.
I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
small.
No.
Richard's like, yeah, I've tried. It does.
Hear me out. The picture that Richard painted, you saying you would close the door, but like, let's imagine you took like 3 or 4 steps in the opposite direction. So this kid is right at the door. You're 5 feet away. So then you look back. His eyes are black. Are you running? You're gonna go and run towards him and shut the door, or are you gonna take off like out the back door?
Well, when I answer the door, I'm standing holding the door.
Scenario that I
I
said.
know that. I know
Huh?
that.
And I
But
said
let's say
the scenario that I said. You're 5 feet away. he's
Oh.
by the door. What do you do in that situation? Because that's how I pictured it when Richard explained it.
Well, he still has to be allowed inside the house.
yeah, but are you going to be that clear-headed? Are you going to be that? Do you think you're going to be that clear-headed when you see solid black eyeballs?
Oh, dude, I'm definitely pausing. I'm definitely pausing and like
Are you going to
probably
be
in shock. I'm probably, huh?
Because at that point, like if you were that conscious, if you were that like self-aware, you'd almost be like cocky, like, okay, you can't come in.
Exactly.
Now what?
I think I'd be in shock at first.
Bro, you would be freaking
think?
out.
Oh, yeah, I'd be free. Oh yeah, I'd be freaking out. That's why I'm in shock. I mean, that's why I'm in shock because I'm freaking out, and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm probably like staring back and forth into these black, soulless eyes, and I'm just like, and I'm looking at the door, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just like, because the back door is so much further, and this black-eyed kid probably has like lightning speed, so he could probably catch me or just move me with his mind.
What if
But
you
he
go to the
can't
back door and he's at the back door, just standing there?
Ooh. Dude, then I'm done. I mean, I'm done. I'm done at that point. Because the animals aren't helping me. Rigby's probably hiding. Like,
And
Dude,
there's
I'm
nothing to say that like they're good fighters. Like, what if you could just beat them up? Like,
I know.
what if it's like climatic if it was just like and then just out of panic you punch it.
the eyes go back to normal.
And run away. They're just oh!
No.
Dude, what Gene said. What if their whole thing is to get you on legal charges? Their eyes go back to normal, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna call the cops now because you just punched a child." And
Oh,
that's
shit.
the whole evil thing. It's a demon, but they just want to get you with like legal stuff.
It's like the biggest asshole demon. Like,
No.
like,
Well,
no, we're gonna do this the legit way.
No, but I'll tell him. What are you gonna say?
They're contacts, see? You adult jerk. Wait, why are you Oh, you're a minor.
Yeah.
So instead of money for raking the leaves, how much would you pay to not go to jail today?
Yeah.
Anything, whatever you like.
Cool. Well, can I come inside? No.
No.
Anything but that.
I did while you figure it out, and then you look back, it's black eyes. It's Inception level tricking you.
Stop doing
Dude.
that.
These kids are smart. They're probably like thousands of years old. Doing this forever.
Whatever they are, they're weird.